Dune bomb right in my face. What is going on, everybody? Progress continuing here on Killface, the Drag Week Mustang, and as I left off last time, I told you I ordered some parts, and they've finally shown up. I got a grip of 3.5-inch mandrel bends from Summit Racing. They're going to connect point A to point B. I do need to find a coupler to go from this to a 3.5-inch. That's a 3-inch guy. So that's what we're doing today. So I am using my Milwaukee bandsaw with the portable bandstand to cut this all up. Pro tip, put some soap on your blade. It keeps the aluminum from clogging up the blade. And then we're gonna talk today about a little bit of home fabrication tips. I started a little bit of a video series and I never really quite capped it off because I was looking for a way to really do it well. And I think this is a perfect time as any. This is my AHP Tiggy 200X. This is a 2016 model. So AHP changes these up and the new version is actually called like a 210 or something like that. This machine, in my opinion, is the best bang for the buck for the home hobbyist. I don't know that I would trust it in a professional environment where you're gonna be welding and running the thing all day. However, if you're just doing the occasional build up, this machine is awesome. It does AC, it does DC. It's an inverter machine, so it'll do AC with frequency control, so you can weld aluminum with this thing and have a lot of really good control with it. It does pulsing. Man, it's got so many bells and whistles on this thing, a bunch of stuff that I really don't use, and I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not that great with it. However, I can burn some stuff together well enough to make it fit and not blow apart. I've been moderately successful in my home hobbyist TIG welding career. I'm not the proudest of that, but it does pretty damn well. It holds up good. So that's what we're working on today. Here we go. Yeah, look at that forehead line. Again, guys, one point I want to drive home with all of this is I have zero professional training. I have zero professional training in anything that I do automotively. I literally am just too stubborn to pay somebody else to do it. I'd rather just learn how to do it myself. So this is how you end up with this stuff. But I'm telling you right now, I'm like a bull in a china shop. And if I can do this, you guys can master this stuff too. So this thing's really hot. I'm gonna set the camera down for a second.
A few moments later.
I debated making this right here 2 pieces to make it a little bit easier to pull it out of the car the way it was before, to put a coupler right here. But that's one more chance of blowing the coupler apart, and I'm trying to run big boy boost this year. So I elected to go ahead and just weld it all together. And I tried my hand. I thought I had enough cleaning action on this thing to TIG it and tack it up without actually cleaning it. And it was a complete and total failure and backfired in my face. I got extremely frustrated with trying to fit these tubes up. And thankfully I didn't have the camera on when I started throwing a hissy fit. Went inside, calmed down a little bit because as you can see, it is completely dark outside. It's been a few hours now. I decided to come back out here now that everybody's asleep and finish what I started. Tonight, the charge pipe will be complete with the exception of the blow-off valve, and I still need to get a coupler to go from this 3.5 down to a 3-inch for the intercooler. So I'm gonna finish cleaning these up with acetone, and we'll see where this video continues tomorrow. Here I am, sign, seal, delivered, I'm yours. Okay, day 2. Action. Charge pipe. Here we go. It's all in here. It's all one piece. It's all fitted up. Got really frustrated with trying to weld this crap down here because I didn't heed my own advice that I did right here. And that is clean, clean, and clean again. Guys, when you're welding aluminum, no amount of cleaning action from your welder is going to take the place of actually cleaning. There's all kinds of stuff that can contaminate a weld while you're out here doing it. And all that stuff is going to get jammed into the cut. So what I try to do is I try to just fit these pieces of material together and then just do a quick tack weld. And I tell myself, I'll just run back over it with a wire wheel. It did not work out so well. As you're welding, all the contaminations that are subsurface, man, I'm really good with words. All those subsurface contaminants are going to rise to the top and it's going to completely screw your weld up. It's going to look like ass. You're going to have tons of trouble That arc is gonna be unstable. It's gonna be all over the place. Just a really bad time. So bad, in fact, that I had a giant blob of aluminum fall through, burn through my shoe, and burn the top of my foot. Have you ever smelled yourself cooking? It's not fun. So, after I was done trying to deep fry my left toe, I went ahead and threw it on the car, and here's the result. And I like it. It looks really good. I'm happy with the fit up. It's all one piece. You gotta kind of get the car up kind of high to get it out. That may prove infuriating later, but where we're at now is I need to have some sort of way to retain the coupler on here outside of just the clamp. So as you can tell, the intercooler has a bead roll on it. So it's pretty standard procedure to put a bead roll on the end of your charge piping to keep them from slipping out of the couplers. Even the hardest of hardcore T-bolt clamps can't always retain couplers, and I don't want to have to deal with charge pipes blown off. So there's a few options. One, you get yourself a bead roller and you crimp a bead into it. You can also modify an old pair of vice grips to do the same thing. I actually have a pair, but when I'm done, the end of the pipe looks like I chewed on it with a pair of pliers because, well, I chewed on it with a pair of pliers. So you can also come in here with a welder and lay a bead on top of the material, okay? That's really handy if you haven't already cut this to length, because what you do right here, I'm not the best welder in the world, so I would be running the risk of melting away the edge of this material because my welds don't look like this. My welds look like this, and I'm very impatient. And then the final option, which just came out from a gentleman by the name of Michael Hennessy, who owns and operates a veteran-owned company called Monkey Fab. You might have heard of him. He's been posting some stuff on social media. He's got his own channel as well. But over at Monkey Fab or Monkey Fabrication, Mike came up with these. These are billet weld-on bead rolls, I guess is what you call it. And this is the 3.5-inch version, and it has a perfect index. It slips right on the end. There's no fitment or anything like that. And you can see how far it slides over the end. So it's got a nice taper on it, and then what you can do is you just come in here with your torch and your TIG torch and you would weld it right on the back. Full disclosure, I thought this was probably one of the most useless things I had ever seen invented. I was like, why would anybody need this when you have all those other options that already exist? You buy a bead roller, you can make them your own. Buy a pair of pliers and just weld them up and modify them yourself. Or weld it. Once I got my hands on it, then the light bulb went off. This is for exactly the situation that we're in. I don't want to just chew the end of the pipe up with a pair of pliers. And sometimes if the material is super thick, it's gonna take a lot of passes and your hand is gonna get cramped, it's gonna get a workout. I'm not the best welder in the world. I'm afraid this is gonna fall away. And there's not enough material on the end of it for me to run a good beater on the thing. So for $6, slip that on there and go to town. And that's it. So $6 for these things, and it's a really trick piece. It looks really, really nice. And that'll be a really good finishing touch. The other flip side of that coin too is these things are kind of beefy and they're pretty sturdy. I have seen some intercooler kits, intercooler piping kits that come with some metal that is not the thickest, not the sturdiest. And when you put a clamp on it and really crank down on a T-bolt clamp, I've literally seen it start to crush it like a soda can on the end. So this will add some reinforcement in that tube, and you can really lean on what these clamps are doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the metal up, and I'm gonna start welding these bad boys on. Get ready to laugh. Yeah, that looks like an amateur did it. So like this is what I struggle with when I'm TIG welding, is forcing myself to sit down, take the time, clean the material, and get comfortable. Like I'm learning more and more that TIG welding is about being comfortable, and this little tiny welding area is, well, it's really cramped, especially when you get something like this big and trying to like flip this piece of tube where it's gonna stay and sit steady on a table that's super flimsy and wobbly while I'm trying to like get both hands supported and be steady, and it's just, this is the finished product. So I welded that one all the way around, and then when I went to fit the other one on, I realized like, wait a minute, this isn't sealing anything. The coupler seals everything. The only thing I need this thing to do is just hold on here. So I did on this one, I just ran a couple of like stringer beads, which is why that one's a little bit, see, I'm comfortable there. That one, not so much. That one, really not so much. But, so I put 4 beads on it just to hold it on there, because I didn't want to go through, get myself super mad, wasting a bunch of material and a bunch of time. So that's gonna hold just fine. And it actually is much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. This thing is crazy hot. I'm gonna let it cool down, and then I have to go get a piece of material, a piece of 2-inch tube right here, and we're gonna put the blow-off valve on it, and then I can put this in the car and never have to worry about taking it out again, barring any catastrophic failure, which, hey, when I'm on the job, is entirely possible. Jesus. Pizza's here! Dinner time. But before we wrap this up, there you go. That will be completely fine and mellow. So I'm just gonna go in here with the shop vac and run some rags and stuff through there and blow air out and get all the metal shavings out of that thing. But anyway, Mike, gotta go because my pizza and dinner is here. When we come back to this, I will not have any more copyright infringements on this video. And that's definitely not Motown on Pandora. And we will have it put back on the car. Couple days later now, and everything is in here and it fits up exactly how I wanted it to. And some other stuff that we have done on this as well. Well, let's go over what I still have to do. I have this guy right here, the manifold air temperature sensor. I got to drill and tap a hole right there, and then I can connect this Jones right there, and it'll all be good with that. I'm going to hit this thing up tomorrow and trying to wrap up a bunch of the wiring. I got the coil pack harnesses on here, man. I am super close. I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to get this thing fired up. Shout out to Michael Hennessy and Monkey Fab Garage for sending these things over. Again, I was skeptical, but I'm a believer, man. These things are pretty badass. I'm a fan. And they start at like $5 a piece for the little 2.5 inch, and they go up to like $7. So when you're thinking about breaking these things out right here, consider how much your time is worth. Like, these right here, if anybody wants these, I'll send them to you. But otherwise, they're going in the trash because those things are rad. Anyway, that's it. I'm out. Peace. Yeah.